And now, coming to you from the Pensado Media Center, powered by Westlake Pro.
Want to learn the process of becoming a record producer? Our guest is one of the best ever, and he's in a sharing mood. Brand new ITL featuring Dave. Yay. NAMM is 3 weeks away. We are all over that. It's 2016, baby. You're at the place. It's Pensado's place.
Yay. Feels like 2016.
It does. We're brand new.
Hey, thanks for dropping by and hanging out with us. I'm predicting a top 5 show, maybe a top 3 show.
We've been after this dude, huh?
Yeah.
A little stalkerish, the way he went.
Yeah.
But he's so kind to us, so it's exciting.
Well, we met a year ago,
And we did. Should we go for it?
Let's do it.
Happy New Year, gang. Hope you are rested, refreshed, and ready to bring the noise and make that noise really great as well. Let's continue to grow together. Your likes and subscribes are fuel for our fire, and we certainly thank you for that. To the best partners in audio, literally the best partners, the Blackbird Academy, Vintage King, Audio Technica, Aftermaster, Isotope, the Fab Factory, Avid, and Recording Connection. Happy New Year to you all as well. Your support is certainly appreciated. We got big plans. We're going to do some great stuff. The big mama of all conventions in audio in America is almost here. NAMM is right around the corner. Your Pensado team will be all over it. Dave and I will be at our winter home. That's the Avid booth, and we'll be broadcasting there live each day of NAMM. Killer guests, as you know, we're going to be there. Let's announce one of them. Shall we announce one of them? You want to announce who it is? Okay.
Yeah. My buddy, Mike Elizondo.
As Dave said, badass Mike Elizondo, the dude has literally worked with Dr. Dre, shares a studio with Chris Lord-Alge, is an A&R guy with Warner Brothers. This is a certified beast. Come meet him. We got more badasses we're going to announce. There's one I want to say right now, but I can't yet. Anyways, we'll have a complete list of who the guests will be at Pensado's Place TV. We'll have that there shortly so you can see where we're going to be. We've got lots of giveaways. We got some backstage passes to our brand new Pensado Media Center and Art Gallery. We want to see you there, much, much more. We'll be at a bunch of different booths. McDSP booth, Audio Technica's booth, Hal Leonard, Audio Dynamics, Isotope, the Tech Awards. We're going to be all around shaking hands. We want to see you. We want to take a picture with you. We want to sign something. We want to see how your grandma is. We want to know what you're doing in audio. Come up to us, and we will spend some time with you. We look forward to that. Quick shout out to our boy Robbie Burrell down in Nashville. He's one of the preferred Pensado mixers that sometimes you see on our landing page. Robbie just landed a big feature film called Rounding Third. He's been named post-audio supervisor, so everything from ADR, Foley, dialogue, sound design, and even final theatrical mix is all on him. Robbie, you can handle it. It's why we picked you. Congratulations. He's one of our bad boys, right?
Yeah.
From our chair, quick bit on 2016. Lots of refreshed features, new and more live events, bigger scale, new reach internationally, a bunch of product opportunities for you, lots and lots of new. We spent a lot of time last year thinking about what we want to do for you. We're going to roll it out in sequential, sort of, properly presented, and I think we're going to try to please you. I think we will. What do you think? You excited about it?
Well, they don't come to see us. We thought they did, but they come to get all that free shit.
Oh,
that's why they come.
We give a lot of free shit.
We give a lot of free stuff away.
Can I get some free shit too?
I'll hook you up.
Okay, cool. Thanks, man.
I know people.
You're so generous. Yeah. Thank you so much. Well, look, let's introduce the hairy hip-hop Hungarian who handles the corner office. He goes by the name of... Django! What's up, Jonkster?
What's up, guys?
How are you?
It's great to be back the first week of the new year. I'm so excited. We have so many great questions this week.
Big time guest, right?
huge.
Yeah, absolutely. We've been laying for him. So I will come up with some other alliterations that uses the word H in Hungarian all during the course of the year. Make it.
You remember when you used to do the HD thing?
What's
Coming to you in HD.
Oh yeah,
I used to have to come up with something
from studio.
Dave,
Right.
What does that stand for?
Herb and Dave. That's
Just
right.
throw him in HD. He can take that trend.
Oh, that's true. One of the new things that Dave and I talked about is we know how important ITLs are to you, and we want to take that ITL concept further. Obviously, you want to hear from the Master Blaster and what he does, but we also periodically we find material that I think you think is really good for
100%.
for them to. So tell them about that. Some of the stuff we're playing around
I
with.
spend more time on the internet than any human, and I love it when I run across things that either capture my imagination or kind of show me another angle on which to use a technique. Things that I just like, and I think our audience is going to like them too.
So we have a relationship with an entity called Groove 3. They curate fantastic
Great learning
content,
source.
easy stuff to digest, and periodically we're going to dip into their things. When Dave sees something that really moves him and makes sense for you guys, we're going to present those. So actually this week we'll present the first one and see what you think.
Oh, you're going to like it. It's good. You're going to like it.
So let's roll the Groove 3 ITL.
In this session, we're going to be looking at the grand piano that's in this track. The piano, it's a mini grand. It's one of the free VIs that comes with Pro Tools, and it's a nicely played piece of piano. Let me just play it you. Now remember the piano, it's got to sit with the guitar. So here's the guitar. So it's sometimes good when you're mixing stuff just to listen to things together. There's a back and there's a vocal of course in there as well.
Landing, forget standing, I'm flying with you.
Also, that piano's already got quite a nice sound, so I don't need to do too much to it. What I'm going to do really is just a little bit of EQ and a little bit of compression. I'm going to do some limiting. And what I mean by limiting, I'm just going to, whenever it hits a certain peak, it's just going to just limit it from the top end. So it's not going to do a compression effect. It's just going to balance the sound out a bit. So first thing I'm going to do actually is I'm going to use a 7-band EQ again, and I'm just going to have a quick listen to that piano.
Falling fast.
So I'm going to again use some roll off on the bottom end. Not too thin though. Add some body back in. I'm going to make it quite poppy, so much thinner than normal. And this time I'm putting the limiter behind the EQ because we want that at the final point of the stage. So we're going to compress the limiter and we're going to set the ratio to 100 to 1, which means it's going to limit it, which means that it basically it's like what we call a brick wall limiter. And when the audio hits it, it does not go past that point. It's literally just whacking against it. And then I'm going to set a very, very high threshold ratio so that when it hits the threshold, it's just touching some peaks out. So let's play the piano again. Tack time as well. Can hear some artifacts there, we don't want that. Pull that back a bit. So I've got a fast attack time this time because the attack time is the time it takes for the compressor to start working. If it's too long, it just won't work. Push the gain up again. I think it's about right. Let's hear that in the track then. Let's just hear it with the rest of the stuff.
Falling faster and further into you. Never landing, forget standing, I'm flying with you. It's a story, it's not mine, this little life I'm finding feels like days. Falling faster and further into you. Never landing, forget staying.
What I'm doing is just trying some top end and just messing around with the top end to see how it sits with the rest of the track. And actually, it might help just to pull some top end out and give a much duller, thinner piano.
Falling faster and further into you.
That sits nicely. Let's just mute those two.
Never landing, forget standing.
That's nice. So that sits really nice, you know. The other thing is got this synth effect on there as well. And there's not really much need doing that, really. And one of the things I'd like to say is sometimes some tracks need nothing doing to them, especially if they've been well recorded. And here it goes. If it needs anything, it just needs pushing up a bit the levels.
I don't know where you came from. To you, never landing, forget standing, I'm flying with you.
Yeah, there's nothing needs doing to that synth. So on that occasion, sometimes just do nothing. You might have heard me write sometimes on my blog that actually some of the best mixes are actually achieved when you turn all the plugins back off. So don't feel the need to put everything on everything. It's just a case of going through it subtly. So there we go. We have the stereo piano and the synth now sorted out and ready. And we'll be looking at probably putting some effects on those in terms of reverbs and delays and perhaps even some chorus and some expanders, some sort of widening stuff later. Thanks for watching.
So you want to talk about credits, about our guest? How about this? Soundgarden, Hole,
Yay.
Ozzy, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Korn, Marilyn Manson, and a whole ton more. His book, Unlocking Creativity, is an absolute must-read.
We have a prop, Herb.
We do?
Yeah, Vanna White.
Okay. Oh, there you go.
How do you do it, Herb? Like,
It's a little hard because the shot is Jonathan Bassett. Okay, no, say it again. Come back. Come back. No, come back. His book, Unlocking Creativity, is a must-read. Please welcome to the desk a monster, Mr. Michael Beinhorn. How are you, man?
How are you?
So glad that you're here.
Michael didn't leave yet.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
No, it's perfect.
I'm sick. I wasn't supposed to do it. I'm so sorry.
I'm black. Sickness doesn't hold on to us.
Thank goodness.
I don't know where that went. So welcome to 2016. We are just absolutely bananas, and that's a good way to start.
We've said this multiple times over the 5-year history of the show. There's just something that alters us into, no matter how bad the mood is, no matter what's going on outside the space, when we come in here, it's just a special thing. Thanks to you guys, you make it special. So.
Fire away, man.
One of the things that I've not understood but also simultaneously admired about you is not everybody, but when you think of big, major, career-changing records that mostly were from groups nobody wanted to sign or keep on the label, you've done the career-defining record for those guys. Is it a function of, like, you have a belief in yourself that you follow your heart and not much is going to get in the way of that? Is that where that comes from? Does it come from a good source or a bad source or a combination?
I like the laugh. The laugh comes from an evil place. That's a good thing.
Yes, but there must be evil to balance out the light.
That's
all.
right.
You have one without the other.
It allows us to define good.
Exactly.
By knowing bad.
Exactly. If everything were good,
boring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know any of this stuff. All I know is that when something is presented to me to be worked on, there's just a single vision. And that vision, the singularity of that vision kind of, it just presents itself. If something, you know how it is when you hear something that you love, that you just love. I mean, that doesn't always happen when you hear a piece of music you're going to work on, right? Sometimes like,
Yeah, right.
But then when you hear something where something just, grabs a hold of you, there's like there's this like synergy that happens. And all of a sudden this idea starts to create itself. It presents itself. And my job is to retain some kind of communion with that idea. Now it's going to change over the course of it has to. You got to be flexible, right? But if I'm going to stay true to that, that's the single kind of,
Because in some ways you're an enabler. You're able to say, here's this idea. Let me not get in the way of it. Let me make sure that the lines are drawn in such a way where it can live to its best, and you have to marshal that process in a way that's craft that you guys have that maybe has not been defined that way, but that's part of bringing it home.
That's one reason why I wanted to write a book, to just kind of like to kind of give stuff like that a name, and to really kind of explain it, and to kind of define some of the intent that at least goes into my process. For me, there's like a fine line between enabling and dis-enabling.
Absolutely. Sometimes it's that.
Well, sometimes you have to
blow up the spot.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. We feel that way about the show. So as you're doing that, is there a point in time where you know it, that the process is at its kind of nadir, it's where it should be, and it feels right? Is that an intuitive thing? Is it intellectual? Is it a combination of both? Like, because when I watch Dave mixing, he knows when he's in a zone. He knows when he's out of a zone, and sometimes out of a zone can still be completely professional and competent. But in the zone, it's like a sports team. You're not thinking about. You're just. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. I might add, the hardest thing is to know when you're done. I'm just running out of time.
You've always
But
said that.
without deadlines, I'm useless.
So do you feel it when it's going the way it's supposed to be going?
Well, it's interesting because what you're saying about flow, as it's called, there's a book. There's been a couple of books. A psychologist, I think. I hope I pronounce his name right. Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi. He wrote a book actually on flow, and it is that very thing. When you're in that zone, you feel it.
Yeah.
There's something, you're getting supercharged by something, you can't describe it, you can't define it, there's no way to intellectualize it.
Right.
It's just there, you're in it, and all you can do is just surrender.
Yeah.
That's all you can do, and there's no intellectual process involved in this whatsoever.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that you have to be smart enough, however, to accept it and say, I am possessed of this. I am a component in this process. It's flowing through me.
That's right.
It's going to happen, and all I need to do is just sit back and be the instrument.
Let it be. That's right.
That's
Be the
it.
vessel.
How do you, there's times during the day where I feel creative and I do creative things, and then there's times during the day where I don't. So I do the technical elements, which in mixing can be numerous. Have you found a technique or read about one where you can encourage those moments to happen, or an atmosphere with which they find good soil to sprout up and happen? I mean,
You mean creative stuff?
Yeah.
Well, I try to pursue like 3 different creative kind of media. Like I'll draw, I write, and I'm involved in music. So sometimes if one isn't working, then I'll just move
Go the other bucket.
to another. They all feed each other.
Yeah, I was gonna
They
say.
all inform each other, and they all kind of like the better you get, or the good Lord.
It's Michael.
Damn.
Yeah, the deeper you get into one, it assists and deepens
Absolutely.
your process with all the others.
I've thought about that, but
Absolutely.
we were speaking on the phone the other day about creativity. There's only one form, but the media can be different, but creativity is creativity. It doesn't morph or change for various media.
Yeah.
So if you're not creative in one media, then you go to another one to try and get it to happen.
If you're not feeling it, sometimes on the other side of things, sometimes it's good to bang your head against the wall a little bit to just get that feeling. A lot of times people will give up because they're not being inspired or because they're not being motivated by something else outside of them.
Absolutely.
A lot of people look for something to kind of to motivate them and make them feel, you know what I mean, right?
I do.
And that's not good. Sometimes you got to feel what it feels like to just be like, oh shit,
you got to hit the wall.
This again, boom, boom, boom.
Yep.
It's just an essential part. And, also kind of like the more you can do that, the more you come into a deeper relationship of the why. Like why you're doing something, like what your intent is behind that whole thing.
That process of hitting the wall, and we each have our own ways we do that. In the media component of this, whether it's an award show or a campaign or guesting or an international live event or whatever the case may be, a lot of walls. And when I'm there, and sometimes I'll call you and we'll talk through it, I often find it by just staying at it. And sooner, because it forces you deeper and deeper in, and then you start uncovering things what you ordinarily wouldn't look at unless you were forced to the wall. Concurrently, though, or conversely, there are times, like Chongo and I have had a conversation a lot about, because he's a creative guy on one side, he's left brain, right brain guy, and I say, feed yourself. Like, go do some other things that feed you. You'd be surprised how it, whether it's movies or whatever, or go walk, look at art, look at colors.
There's so much out there. The world is such an amazing place to derive all kinds of inspiration. I mean, if you're willing to just go outside even on a day and look around you and go like, how is it possible that we're even alive right now? These are like miraculous things. What the hell?
I would go farther and say this, that in today's environment, with the tools available to you and with everybody's in media, whether they like it or not, it's almost incumbent upon you guys out there to make sure you're being fed externally.
That you're feeding yourself too. That you're responsible.
Absolutely.
That you take the responsibility.
It's your gig.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because if not, you already are behind the 8 ball from those who are.
Yeah.
And so it's important. Is that, you agree?
Yeah, I agree 100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
100%.
Yeah, and to pursue rich emotional experiences that can deepen your relationship with the medium that you work in.
And these are the things that result for those watching in great mixes, hit records, that crazy riff, that vocal performance. It applies in things that are not creative, in the marketing campaign and other kinds of stuff. When you look at Adele's campaign from the standpoint of this incredible voice, this incredible song, these incredible mixes, incredible production, I will look at it as well and go, look at the campaign they put together over a year. Look at the subtlety and the nuance of which they did this and didn't hit you over the head with that and backed up here. And that's all creativity. And when you're able to sort of marshal all that, you can really become a force. You know? It's really interesting.
Cool thought. Not mine, yours.
Okay, well, yours too.
It's all in the inflection.
If I was on camera, you saw me zoning off. I was just thinking about something, even though your point was well taken. That was kind of serious.
It was.
This is deep, by the way.
Let me see if I zone off.
One of the things I was just sitting here thinking is I'm not a big fan of the old concept of too many cooks, And I'm thinking the reason possibly why you're having such big successes with such underdog groups. I mean, it's not like you're doing Adele's third album. You were doing some groups that were about to be dropped and gave them their biggest records. And it must be because you're so gifted and set to have your vision executed that you don't allow room for too many cooks. So are you following me? Take it here because I'm struggling here. So like if you've got the A&R guy contributing, the manager contributing, 5 band members contributing, by the time it gets done, it's called average, or another word for average is mediocre. But if it's one vision with a person that has the confidence to execute that vision, plus your track record for being right, you'd be a fool not to listen to you. That's a big help.
Everyone makes their mistakes, but like the thing is that if you have a group of people that are coming together under the auspice of a project, they are collaborators. You know, anyone who falls outside the immediate the immediate arena of that specific collaboration is an outsider. You know, they have to then they have to prove their merit to come inside.
Absolutely.
To be involved in that process, let alone make any kind of contribution at all. Most of the time, unless someone can provide an informed opinion who's outside of that group of initial collaborators, there's no need. There's just no need whatsoever. And I mean, like, you got to be respectful of people, especially if they're paying bills on something like that. But there's also a point where it's like, look, man, are you doing this because you have something legitimate to contribute to this,
right,
and you know that it must be heard, or are you doing this to like satisfy your own fucking ego?
And
Because
here's
if
what
it's
I
the
know.
Case,
here's what I know.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to cut you off, but as being on the side of people who hire people to do that, they're hiring him for that. There's something between the band, maybe it's their last shot, maybe whatever the case may be, something about the vision, but a company is going to hire him because he's going to shepherd that process and make sure that that process, as the Fockers would say, you're either in the circle of trust or you're not.
I just, I was listening to, I rarely ever listen to Howard Stern, but I caught him on XM coming in today, and he was interviewing Samuel L. Jackson, and Samuel L. Jackson was saying how he goes to the set prepared. Howard asked him, well, if the director has some opinions or wants you to change something, what happens? He said, well, he's got two choices, either forget it or fire me. He said, I come prepared. I know what I'm supposed to do. I execute it. And if it's not what you want, we don't share the same vision, therefore you must fire me. And I thought, I wish I could do that. I don't have, I know you can do it. I've seen you do it. I just don't have that ability to, I cave a little bit sometimes when I have an idea.
you look like you can handle yourself in a clinch.
Well, I talk them to death is what I do.
That works.
In your arc, give us the quick Beinhorn arc. Came from here, did this, first break, because I'm curious along the journey where you develop that forthrightness to say, my style is going to be like this, and I'm going to manage the controlled chaos inside. Were you that way as a kid? It it turned into a style.
I'm a little like ball of chaos. I don't know what. I don't understand any of it.
It works. It's pretty good.
I don't understand any of it. No, I just felt things. I just felt things deeply. When I was little, I would listen to music, and obviously this is before there were videos or any kind of imagery.
Which I think was an advantage to us.
Hell yeah.
It's in our head and our hearts.
Oh my gosh, man. Like, it's interesting because like when we did that Hancock song, when we did Rocket, you know.
Oh, let me stop you. You guys don't know this, but Rocket was the first song. It was a hip-hop song. Now, hip-hop was different then, but it was the first hip-hop song that made it to the radio, which opened up a lot of things after that. And that's not my opinion. That's if you look his name up, you'll see sources you respect say that.
And I would argue that it was called something different then, but today it would be called EDM. It had such a dance component to it, the way it was adopted and interpreted, and it was just amazing, both as a song, sonically, and even where they went with the video things, and the fact that it came from Herbie Hancock. And it was just...
He wrote the song. Herbie just did the lead line, which copied his lead line.
I mean, that was a shift.
Herbie's a bad boy,
no question.
No doubt about it.
But it was definitely a shift at a time when we had a lot of really good music on. You could turn on FM radio and find all kinds of things that were really interesting. So kudos to you. But that speaks to the point of you feeling things and following what you feel and following your path.
Well, this was interesting. We were talking about like how image kind of sort of changed the game as far as like music presentation. And Mike, conceptually, like Rocket for me was like a whole different thing, you know, because I was envisioning it as part of Herbie's journey,
Right.
like as a prominent jazz musician who revolutionized, you know, jazz fusion.
Amazing. Yes.
And you know, and went from playing with Miles to doing like, you know, to doing like the Headhunters stuff
Yeah,
and Chameleon,
Ugh.
and just kind of owning that space and what he was able to do with that. And to me, like the whole thing about Rocket was like, what happens if this guy who's on this trajectory, you know, comes face to face with this nascent music form of hip hop, you know? And it was like, it was a real conceptual thing. But I mean, I envisioned it as something that was, you know, I mean, obviously I'm not black or anything, but like I envisioned it.
Sort of.
I
Depends
gotta
on where.
break it to you. Well, if you check my genetics, I'm probably going back a
Got
couple
some stuff in
thousand
there.
years.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
But like, no, I saw it as that kind of movement. You know, so like when a bunch of white guys are making this video, I was kind of like, what the fuck? Like I was offended by it actually when I first saw
Robots
it.
for making the video.
No, it was. I mean, eventually I got to like it, but it was so contrary to what the vision of the song was for me.
For you, sure.
You know.
Sure.
And to obviously, there's no getting around it. Those guys are brilliant. That helps sell the song, and
Wait,
it's one of the
The
key
video with the
components.
robots was.
Well, you kind
Yeah.
of met yourself. The video folks, they had a concept. They saw something. They were going to go down that
Yeah,
path.
man, it was awesome.
Yeah, it was just.
It was absolutely awesome.
But it was interesting the way you describe it now because it was like two or three big forces coming together.
Yeah, man.
Each holding on to their thing and saying, "Okay, I'm leasing this to you now. Don't fuck it up."
Yeah.
And everybody had their individual thing, and
I
boom.
was so offended when I saw that video. Like, it really upset me.
That's what made me fall in love with the song.
Well, a lot
I
of
know.
people. A lot of people.
I
Because
think
it was
most
a
everyone
hybrid.
did.
Yeah.
Most everyone did.
Yeah.
And you know, like obviously, you know, you have to embrace it eventually. And then like, I started looking at it and going like, oh my God, this is brilliant. And I actually ran into Kevin Godley from 10cc, who was one of the guys who directed the video.
right.
Like
Godly and Cream.
2 years, right?
Still
2 years
in
ago,
love.
and I was like, thank you. Like you just.
Amazing.
You know, what great work you did. Thank you so much.
Wow.
I'm gonna read this quote because I'd like to go down this lane for a minute. You said music is the most proficient delivery system of emotion, and in a lot of ways I feel, and we've talked about this, that's all we're selling is emotion, and music somehow lately has not been doing what it does best, which is deliver that emotion. How do you get that? Because when I hear your productions, I'm as seduced by the emotion as I am by the sonics of it and by the performances of it. And a big part is, what is the connection between performance and emotion?
Well, you know, all these things are they're vehicles. You know, the tools that we use in the studio, it's a vehicle. You know, you look at a tool and you see a tool, right?
Yeah.
You know, you ever see this painting by Rene Magritte? I can't, Ceci ne pas un pipe or something, you know, where there's a picture of a pipe and it's in French, you know, this is not a pipe. It's like, look at a microphone. All you see is something that passes sound through. You know, that microphone sounds really great. I love it. You know, that's the one to use on vocals. That's my thing. It's not that. It signifies something else. It signifies something that you express yourself through, that you use as a way to be able to communicate. You know, as engineers, as producers who treat that as their art form, that is a key component in the expressive process. You know, it's not a utility. You know, I think we're getting fooled into thinking that things are as they appear on the surface, but that's not it.
It's the biggest challenge of technology, in my view. When people master the technology and think they've mastered something other than the technology. What you've mastered is the technology. You still have to get this out through that in a way where this is the primary thing and not the technology, correct?
And if you don't start from here, if you don't have a
in the water.
connection with here,
Dead in the water.
all the technology in the world is not going to make you great.
Not going to matter worth a bit.
Yes, I agree. I think you're absolutely right about that.
I tossed in another damn Michael Beinhorn quote. Equipment should be an extension of yourself. And there's a lot that you can make of that sentence. You don't let the equipment make sonic decisions for you. You let the equipment be an extension of what you want your vision to be.
There's a metaphor you use about the house, the tools in the house. I forget what
Oh
you said.
yeah, instead of celebrating your tools and trying to rent them, use your tools to build a house.
build the house, right.
And then
The
make
goal
the
is
house
the house, yeah. Same.
Bill,
Yeah.
a dear man in Atlanta, Bill Lowry, one of my, I hate the word mentor, I don't know. He hung out with me and we shot the shit, but that's called mentoring nowadays. Yeah.
But
right, man.
that's the point. The point is, don't forget what the mission is. Get in touch here.
Yeah.
Utilize these things to get to there.
Tap in.
But yeah,
Tap
absolutely.
in.
Absolutely.
And one of the most important ways to do that, excuse me, is to really understand what your intent is. Why am I here? Why am I doing this? What matters to me? You know?
Yep.
This can't just be a job. It's got to be something more.
Oh,
like,
God.
you know, like, I don't get how people turn this type of work, like engineering or production, into like some kind of vocational thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a crock of shit.
I love it.
No, it's a crock of shit. You know, like, come on. Like,
maybe you need a little humility because not everybody's as gifted as you, and we have to sometimes struggle with the mechanics of it all.
well, hey, look,
I
man,
made that
I'm
up, by the
nothing.
way.
I am nothing more than an inspired amateur. Like, my skills at a lot of things are minuscule. You know, I am not going to compare myself to anyone. I'm not going to say I'm better than anyone. You know, I know what I know. I know how I feel. There's always more stuff to learn, you know, and I'm completely open to that. But to tap into the emotion and to understand how you feel about stuff as opposed to what you think.
Speaking of emotion, do you really take a voltmeter and go check all the voltages of all the outlets before you plug your little 251s in and do vocals? Do you really do that?
Where'd you hear that?
Come on, man.
I think I've probably done it a couple times.
Okay, so while we're on that, what in the heck possessed you to spend the money to make an 8-track tape head stack for a Studer, and then use a couple of pieces of plywood, some 2x4s, and some nails, and bolt everything together? Now, I love talking about kick drums, so take it from there.
What, with the tape recorder? I was like,
Yeah, both. What the mind that created the need, that saw the need for something and did that? Because
well,
the concept, the process you call enhanced analog recording or something?
I think someone else came up with that. I'm not the salesperson around here.
But you take the old school Studers that run at 7.5 IPS. We normally do it at 30.
Not
so
everyone did this. Not everyone did this. I just got lucky somehow because I found an 8-track, you know, and they're like, oh, but you know, this one doesn't run at 15 and 30. It's 7.5 and 15. So maybe, and I was like, no, that's crazy. Because, you know, the idea went in my head like, if you slow the machine down, it's going to have more low end. Oh, my.
you did that on Ozzy's album, right?
That's right.
Damn. And then what describe the process of the 2 sheets of plywood and nailing the drum down and nailing the drum pedal down, and what were you trying to do there? What problem were you trying to solve?
I don't think it's ever about like
Oh,
trying
look,
to,
there it is.
hey, look at that. It's never about trying to solve, well, sometimes it is. It wasn't about trying to solve a problem. It was about trying to enhance something that I already like a whole lot. You know, actually, I was working with a drum tech on this project, a guy named Rob Corsi, who showed me this. This was not my idea initially, you know, and he explained it to me, and I was like, wow. Because the idea of fastening the drums, you know, the resonant, the vibrating part of like a bass drum
Right.
with the pedal to a larger mass of plywood, you know, like
That's interesting.
3/4 to an inch thick, bolting it together so you've got like 8 feet, or I don't know, I don't remember how much it is in meters.
So you're enhancing from, I'm guessing, like maybe from 40 up to about 80 or 90? Is that what you're enhancing, or is it higher?
I think it's going to be, I think you're probably going to get a little under 100 and up, but for some reason, well, it depends what room you're in. It doesn't affect the cymbals, which is very nice.
Yeah.
But it makes it louder. It makes everything ring more, and you've increased the mass.
Wow.
You know, the physics of it is really kind of what you're dealing with, and obviously, like, you're not tilting the bass drum up
Right.
and off. You got to like have it so that it's resting. And if a slight variation on that is to stick like a very heavy weight, like super heavy weight inside the bass drum, not to keep it rooted because obviously you're drilling the whole thing in, so it can't move, no matter how hard someone hits it.
Wow.
But by putting something in the bass drum that's heavy, it actually brings the pitch down a little bit. And I tend to like a very deep bass drum.
If you got 2 toms, like say mounted onto the kick drum itself, does it enhance the sound of those 2?
It's going to affect it, yeah.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's never let me down.
So in that space, give us Michael Beinhorn's take, 2 things, and combining a bunch of stuff. Deconstructing feel, the physiology of feel. Give us the.
I want to hear this.
Take.
Oh yeah, we were talking about that the other day.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think that a lot of people tend to kind of arrange music around 16th notes and making sure everything kind of lines up so that nothing's out of whack, so that there's no flams or anything like that. But to me, and I think to most people who are listening, actually no, not to people who are listening to music at all, to people who just like music.
Right.
So many people will go back to music that's older, and one of the reasons that they're going to do it, and I'm not going to talk about like songwriting or performing, is the fact that the musicians are playing together in a way where there's some kind of where there's a groove, where there's an intermittent, you can't really call it interdependence between the musicians. And I just kind of sat with this for a while because I was noticing that people were starting to kind of go for really tight drum takes, so that nothing would go out of time.
Right.
And, it just occurred to me that there were some relationships between the instruments that were really, really unusual. And I started listening to this going, holy shit. Someone gave me, excuse me, a DAT of these rough mixes off Led Zeppelin 2.
Oh, wow. My goodness.
I mean, you can find all this stuff. Actually, there's one of them I haven't been able to track down, but like the track of Bonham playing like Whole Lotta Love without, just the drums soloed.
Wow. Talk about feel. Scary. It just hurts you.
Oh, it hurts.
Yeah.
It hurts so much. It's one of the most beautiful. I have to go off on this for a second. It's just like, I love a good song. I love when people are playing together. My God. It's just like, I just feel like my heart's being wrenched out of my chest when I listen to this. It's so beautiful. Like when he comes in, it's so compelling. But then when there's that long break, you're hearing this groove. Then there's that long break, and he comes back in with like the, But the thing that's really cool is that later on, if you're listening to this, you can hear him yelling.
Really?
You got to listen to this, man. You can hear him shouting while he's playing.
Oh, wow.
Is this on your website anywhere?
No, I'm sure someone would come after me with a briefcase and legal team.
Yes.
If I did, you can find it on
How does
YouTube.
Bobby Ozitsky get him? He's get him without getting sued.
We don't know.
I don't know. Maybe he's in tight with someone.
Okay.
But no, there's something so primal about it. It's so incredible. But one of the things that I hear that was on this cassette, this DAT, was Ramble On, like a section of Ramble On, where first they solo the drums and they drop the bass in. Oh my God, the bass is so far ahead. It's flamming.
Really?
It's flamming. I wish I had it with me.
Wow.
I wish I had it with me.
Wow.
You see, like these are things that you don't hear because you just become used to the entirety of what the song is. Like
Absolutely.
you're not prone to kind of dissect.
Yep.
One of the other places. I mean, once you start listening to this, though, you'll hear it everywhere. Like another great instance. Anyone who I've spoken to, and I wrote about it in here too. I sound like a broken record, but like, if you listen to Live Sex Machine, that James Brown record.
Yes.
Listen to the breakdown on. Now I can't remember the name of the song. I put it in there, but there's like this breakdown where he introduces the drums. Oh no, it's percussion first. Drums come back in, and then he says Bootsy. Bootsy starts playing, and you can hear where the bass guitar is in relation to the drums. It is a revelation.
Really?
I swear to God, man, you have to listen to it.
Me.
I can't. What's killing me is I can't remember the song.
God.
But like
It'll
I said,
come
it's
to
in
you.
there.
Yeah, it will.
Yeah.
So from a production standpoint, when a drummer can't give you that feeling, you fire them? I mean, what's your take?
Yeah, you work that in.
No, that was
Like with a meat cleaver.
that was really dope.
let me talk to the audience for a minute. Hey guys, come here, get close. So I told Michael I was going to tease him about this because he does not fire drummers. He fires everybody. He's Catholic. He has no particular interest of firing just one set of musicians. And
I didn't want to correct him on this. We understand. We're a tribe.
Oh,
and he's even been known to fire the drummer from the band. I mean, that's how bad it gets. But that search for feel and that's like your passion when you described this, it brought that to mind that when you don't feel it, you want to feel it so much, and you know it can be gotten that you'll do anything to get it. But how do you do that? How do you orchestrate those things? It's a function of experience and life and getting kicked around, having your heart stomped on, and all kinds of things come into
You mean with the
musician's
musicians?
performance. Yeah. How do you orchestrate an environment where that'll happen?
It's, you know, I found that with people who can really play well, it's not, it takes a little while. There's something kind of counterintuitive about it. Like I've worked with some people who are really, really good, you know, and if they don't do this, if they, you know, a lot of people have been indoctrinated into this like do, play along with the click, because if you don't, I'll kill you type thing. And, you know, trying to kind of get someone out of that and say, okay, you know, there's going to be some kind of timing reference for you, but this is what we're going to work on. You know, just kind of like demonstrating how this is going to go. Listen to this record, listen to that record. I'll show you on the drum kit. Not that you want to hear me play drums, but that's tragic.
Do you have an instrument that you play and create from?
I can play a little bit of piano.
Got it.
And, you know, I
Got
can
it.
program a synthesizer.
Got it.
But you know, just kind of working with people one-on-one. You know, but it also depends on what the mission is that I'm presented with from the artist.
Yes.
Because, you know,
Bingo.
yeah, you know, I mean, it's one thing to say, I've got this vision. The vision doesn't come unless there's a synergy with the artist. Like, I can't, I don't just take off and run with the project
Right.
and leave the artist kind of sitting there going like, what the hell is he doing?
Right, right.
There has to be an understanding prior to any work that's done.
Yes.
That this is what we're doing, this is what we want. If there's supposed to be sloppiness on a project and it's part of the
we know.
musical, yeah, exactly. That's what you're going for.
Yep, yep.
You know,
Yep.
when there's a component that's not working, you know, and you already have established what the mission is going forward, this is a different story.
That's right. In our mix world with Dave and as his manager, we do a creative call before any sort of, you know, when we're getting ready to get with a client, and so much happens in that call that makes the process smooth. Get on the same page, know expectations, manage technical issues, timelines, all those kinds of things. And in that process, I think it allows everybody's creativity to be there. And then when somebody steps in or Dave has to make a move, the trust is built. There's been not only recognition that you're important and your contributions are important, but now we know each other's process and we can hold hands and leap.
Yeah, you want it to be I don't know. I want it to, and I'm assuming that you guys feel the same way. I want it to be a collaboration.
Yeah, it's easier.
I want it to be like
Easier.
I think I'm pretty good at what I do. You know, I'm certainly driven enough. But if I'm in the position of being exclusively in the driver's seat and there's no one else there who I can kind of like bounce ideas off of, and who's going to come to me, you know, what about this? Where there's like a constant kind of repartee and a back and forth going on, and even where there's kind of like no, you know, and the other person's like why,
that's right.
You know, and you kind of like, you know, because that's part of the communication process as well, right?
Yeah, look at the groups you work with. We're not talking about a bunch of shrinking violets who are sitting around waiting for you to just tell them what to do.
Oh no,
these are forceful folks. These are folks with front men and stuff, and leaders of bands and strong creative people. Given your sort of perspective on things, do you apply the same kind of Beinhorn POV to your business life as well too? Is it that detailed? Are you that involved? Management, lawyers, and so forth? Or would you rather go?
I could be a little bit better. I could be a little bit better.
Yeah.
No, but like I said, this is like pure chaos.
Yeah. Controlled chaos.
It just like I don't know where this stuff comes from.
It's amazing.
I just try not to question it. That's all.
Yep. Should we get a couple questions from
Let's do it.
from the happy hairy Hungarian who's hirsute and
Toss in horny.
who works with Herb?
Yeah,
There's
the
a bunch
horny,
of H's.
hairy,
The horny,
hirsute.
gotcha. All right,
Hip-hop
horny, hairy,
Hungarian.
hirsute, Hungarian hip hopper who's healthy. What's happening? You got a question?
This question's from SWS. For a live band looking to gain exposure, what areas of production and writing are the most important to you?
That's pretty broad.
That's pretty broad.
That's pretty broad. Yeah, we got 2 more hours. So no, just kidding.
I'm afraid you may have summed it up beautifully. I mean, that's a quick answer and a long one. I mean, all of it.
Yeah.
There's no, you gotta excel at everything.
You do.
You gotta find your place. You have to find what feels good. And when you have narrowed it down to what feels good to you, you have to go like
get it.
that. Just go get it and be
get it.
relentless.
Gotta go get it. man.
Relentless at all of it. There's no getting around it.
I think I'm gonna do the next Pensado Awards with you because we are so
Hey,
similar.
hey.
But no, you're in.
Oh,
it's
good.
called Pensado.
You've been trying to dump me for a while. Send your cards and letters to Herb Trowick, Box 502.
And to Michael Beinhorn, who's working with me on this. Give us another one, Chongor.
This one's from Chris Dover. If you could produce or engineer, or if you could produce,
If I could produce or engineer.
That's it.
I think what he's trying to say is if you had to choose between the two.
sorry, from Chris Dover, if you could produce or engineer any artist, past or present, who would it be?
Wow.
Bach. I don't know.
I like that.
Jeez. There isn't one. I can't do it.
There's no way you can narrow
I
it
can't
down.
do it. It's impossible.
It would be actually sacrilegious if you picked one.
You're so right.
You
It
know what
would
I mean?
be sacrilegious.
Can't do it. Can't do it.
No. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah.
Just too many.
Yeah.
Too many. And by the way, there is a super talented, super hot songwriter in our audience named Vincent Berry. I'll tell you about him in a little bit. Just wanted to give a shout out.
That question made my nether regions kind of
'Cause,
hurt.
yeah, absolutely.
It felt like I got punched in the
Yeah, and
balls.
you can't
up,
breathe
man?
and stuff.
Yeah.
That's why I went past it. We just can't. If somebody said to me, God,
All of 'em.
Who's your favorite client you manage? And I'm sitting beside Dave, I'd go, I can't answer
Yeah.
that. There's just no way.
Ask me
Yeah,
the
yeah.
question.
Who's your favorite manager?
No. Who would I most like to work with?
Who would you most like to work with?
The next one.
There you go. There you go.
But he said in history,
Oh,
last
history?
one.
Okay.
past then. Well,
This week, I'd like to work with the next one.
I guess he said past. He did say past and present, didn't he?
Yeah.
Oh well, that lets you off the hook.
So you're playing stump the guest, not try to help the interview. I get it. So, business as is, technology as tools to utilize to get your emotion out, get to creativity, control chaos, all those kinds of things that
More or less.
they're kind of Beinhornisms, which I love and find that the way I think about things are very similar and so on and so forth. What's your take on where we are moving forward? What do you feel positive and optimistic about things that are going on and where it's going and the music? Are you seeing music that inspires you? What's your take now?
Dave, actually, you said something the other day that I really appreciated. You said this is some of the best and some of the worst music ever is being made right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I have to agree with that for the most part. I've really been hearing some of the absolute worst shit
Yep.
of my entire life, let alone my existence as like someone doing this kind of work professionally.
Yeah.
Just kind of like run from the room screamingly bad.
Mm-hmm.
And then there are other things where it's like,
You guys have had some private conversations.
I could just imagine him running from the room screaming.
no, the image is pretty profound, but it's true. But you can relate, right? It's true,
Yeah.
isn't it? It's just kind of like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like I'll sit. It's funny because like, my wife Jordan has been listening to music with me long enough now, where she kind of like for better or for worse, she's got a very discerning ear anyway. So she'll listen to music, but she's doing it now through my ears, which I pity her greatly for. But she'll put on something that's kind of new that she's really excited about, and then within like 10 seconds she'll go, "This is shit," and turn it off.
That's
Poor
funny.
thing.
Oh my God.
But like, the thing is that we have the potential right now to make amazing strides in the art.
Yes.
And by art, I'm talking about songwriting, performance, but also the engineering and production skills. Oh my God, the facility that we have at our fingertips to do whatever the hell we want, whenever, wherever.
Unbelievable.
Unprecedented. What we can do if that's just incorporated into this process as part of an expression, because I feel like up till now it's been very functional, but there's so much to it. There's so much capability to go further, and it can be done. There's no reason in the world why we shouldn't be making music right now that's up to the level of anything in the history of Western music or any other culture for that matter.
And in the evolution of technology, things do move from the utility being the central piece. Ooh, I know how to do this, so I'm just going to do this because I have the utility to do it. Not the expression, not the kernel that makes you excited, not the stuff that changes the world. I can just show you how I use the cleavers. And I think that we're seeing more and more. I was in the studio the other day, which I told you, Chongo and I, with DJ Ali, and I was watching him use the cleavers, but in a complete way to get his expression out as a mixer. It was sort of in awe in watching it. And he was able to work with a certain speed that got to the expression quicker because he wanted to get that out. And so he had it in the right order to me. To your point, I've seen a lot of things, we've heard a lot of music that's just about the utility to make the music as opposed to the expression of stuff. But I'm encouraged that stuff is coming, and I'm encouraged about you loosening up your arm for batter's box. You getting ready? Because usually that means you're about to stretch. You ready to get, oh man, Pro Sports Dave, when he does that, it's going to be a hell of a batter's box.
I just had a thought.
You'll be good. What's that?
I'm not going to say this is true. I'm just going to say that I'm a guitar player, and all the great feel of all the great records, the feel was kind of led by the guitar players.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Like the Stones all followed Keith, Zeppelin followed Jimmy.
Well,
Could be a debate.
You synthesizer boys don't control
started.
feel like we control feel, and we always rush during the choruses. We always rush during solos. The louder we play, the faster we play, and that's the feel the world loves. Just throwing it out there.
you know what? I'm not necessarily going to dispute, but I will say that there are corollaries and you can expand. You can definitely extrapolate on that. Going back to these recordings I'm talking about, when you actually listen to how all the instruments interact, it really is that interaction of all the things playing together at once. With this James Brown track, when you hear everything kind of like come back in, that's a really great way to listen to music. Just hearing each component, kind of like getting used to it, and then hearing another one come into relationship and change the framework of the groove completely. So it becomes like a real 3D type thing.
And that, to me, and we've heard it a million times in our guests who sit in that chair, the character of a song or the mistake that became the hook, that became something special, letting the art come from the expressive place, and that becomes the definer of that particular song or record or music or track or something. And we fight all the time to make sure that people who are learners or on their way, let that be part of your process. Don't ignore that.
Don't be afraid.
Don't be afraid.
Don't be risk averse.
Which we talked about earlier.
Don't be risk averse.
And if you're in the arts, don't limit yourself by risk. It is when we give speeches, one of the things I say to people all the time, it's a privilege to be a steward of pop culture. Honor that. Do you know what I
that's beautiful, man. That's so nicely put.
Right? And
man.
in that case, our job is to try and to lead and to, I got to go to batter's box now. I got Michael Beinhorn going, to
no,
something
that's
I said.
beautiful, man.
I love it.
I'm going to start crying. That was really nice. That was really nice.
It's true, too. I find it true. All right, so we got, there's a number of really incredibly talented, famous Jewish baseball players. We have one. So your job now as a pitcher, my man, is to, you got to throw heaters.
Oh, no contest.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right, so batter's box is up. Dave, first pitch.
3/4 inch plywood or 1/2 inch plywood.
Wait, I have to come back with one word? No, you have to answer the question.
One of the
Okay. I just made myself laugh. That's all that was about.
That's good, man. We need to humor ourselves every so often.
Okay. I'll start you off easy because I have such respect for you. Vocals.
Loud screechy noise.
Piano.
Piano.
Really soft.
Synthesizers.
Big modular Moog.
That picture of you in front of one's amazing.
Oh,
Yeah.
Bass.
Fender P.
Nice.
Plugins.
Oh man.
Ooh.
A whole bunch.
Good answer. Good answer.
Drums.
Loud.
Bolted down.
Bolted down. Lots of bass. Lots of kick
There
drum.
you go.
Okay, this
That's
one
right.
I don't know how I would answer it, so I can't wait to hear yours. Horns.
Oh.
First time I've asked it on the show, Herb.
Yeah, it is.
Horns.
That's what-
I was going to say automobile. I don't know. Ribbon mic, probably.
If you know what, I'm gonna toss this one in. It was a spare one in case I screwed up. Strings.
That would be the Neumann M250
Oh.
in the Decatry array.
Okay, I have to put a little qualification on this one.
Okay.
You can't say computer, hard drives, dogs, your wife. If your studio
This is
caught
like
fire,
playing
what
baseball
one
with,
piece
like,
of
your-
gear?
Yeah.
If your studio caught fire, what one piece of gear would you rescue?
My ass.
Your ass is
Mic drop.
mechanical.
Boom.
It's a piece of equipment. I value it more than anything.
Listen, if you knew how many times I have sat and said, I would say me. I can build some other shit. If I go down and my computer goes and lives.
See how quickly I answered that too. I'm a coward, obviously.
That's sort of perfect, isn't it?
Yeah.
One before we get ready to toss. We find, give us your take on education in the space, an important thing for people to do and constantly learn. What's your...
You never ever stop learning.
Yeah.
The person who thinks they know everything about anything is a fool.
Yeah.
You know, like I said before, I consider myself an inspired amateur. You know, I actually had like an interesting thing on Facebook recently with Al Schmidt of all people. You know, who's like, what are you gonna say about Al Schmidt, right?
Absolutely.
And he was funny because I made a comment about distortion. He got all huffy about because he doesn't like distortion.
Right.
So we have slightly different aesthetics. And he's kind of explaining himself a little bit about what he does. I'm like, you're explaining to me, little me? You will run circles around my pathetic ass. I mean, come on. You're Al Schmidt. You know, like, I don't know any other engineers who have got a star in the Hollywood Walk of Fame, for fuck's sake.
Pretty impressive.
No, I mean, I don't believe I will ever have the kind of knowledge base this gentleman has.
Right. I don't think you ever stop learning.
No, you can't stop learning, and you shouldn't stop learning.
Yeah.
You should find out everything there is to know about everything, things that are related. You know, I'm still trying to figure out Pro Tools. I'm a moron, so I don't
The best
can't
people in
do
the
it.
world are curious. In terms of in this particular space, they're curious and they stay curious, and I just would never not want to be there. You agree?
I agree 100%.
And the thing is that people who have any degree of knowledge and any degree of experience have a debt, a very, very profound debt.
Big point.
That must be paid. The minute that the industry that you have entered into starts paying you back, or starts paying you, period, you have a debt that must be passed on to other people, and you have to do it willingly and with great pleasure. You have to do it willingly.
I agree. Guys, an important book for you to read, Unlocking Creativity, a phenomenal guest at the desk. What a way to kick off the year, right?
The best way.
Just amazing. I can't wait to read this. We have some signed copies in the Media Center. If you come to the Media Center, you can take a look at it.
I'm gonna do something that's never been done for. I'm gonna take your spot away from you.
Okay.
And ask her, can you come back again sometime soon? Herb always asks the guests, and I always sit quietly by. But this is the first time in 200 and something guests. I'm saying you got to come back.
I'm honored, and I'll be happy.
But cool.
We're going to do
Sorry
this.
to take your place.
No, it's good. And before you wrap it up, it's important for me to say, oi, tudo bem, me.
Oh.
Dave, take us home.
Portuguese.
Portuguese, because I've got Brazil colors on in honor of Leandro, our guy, and a country that sends us a lot of stuff. Leo Saramongo. Going to be a good year. Dave, wrap it up. Take us home.
Okay, I'm gonna do something here again, a little different on this wrap up. I was sitting here thinking, and this is something I'd love your help on. Run over to the to our Facebook page or the Pensado students. But what are the pure musical elements that we have at our disposal to generate emotion? So I started thinking, well, there's timbre, there's volume, there's dynamics, there's silence. There's pitch, and of course volume. And there's not a lot of things we can manipulate within the framework of music. I'm not talking about engineering and collaboration and stuff, but just the pure elements of a note, and that note can be a percussive note or a violin. And the fact that we can do that's a pretty damn amazing thing, isn't it?
Oh, man.
I mean, can you think of anything else? That's about it.
I can think of
It's
one.
incredible.
Add your heart.
Yeah, that's true.
Say
That's
goodbye,
true.
man.
All right, guys. Thanks for hanging with us. I had a blast. Hope
See
you
you.
did too.
Peace out. Bye.